Hi there, we're back on the 67 Hail Hail channel on YouTube with me, Hamish. We're back for a brand new week and we've got a brand new video lined up. Now, just before we get into that, just want to quickly say a big thank you to all of you guys and girls who have got invested in the channel over the last couple of weeks or so. Our views have skyrocketed, our subscribers are going up a healthy number every day, and we just want to say a big thank you. But I also just want to mention, I was looking at the analytics for the channel last week, and there's actually only a small percentage of the views we're getting are people who are actually subscribed to the channel. I think it's around about the 10% mark, so hopefully we can build that up over the next couple of weeks. And if you're watching this right now, or you've watched our previous videos and you like what you see but you're not yet subscribed, we would really encourage you, if you wouldn't mind, just subscribing to the channel. Now that we've got that out the way, we're going to move on to today's video, and there's going to be so many big questions that are unanswered at the moment that will be answered next season when Celtic next take to the field. We knew that next season was going to be such a historic campaign for Neil Lennon's team. Of course, we're going for 10 in a row. Never been done in the history of our club or in Scottish football at all. And it's going to be a massive season even without all this coronavirus stuff. But now we know what is going to happen next year, or we have a rough idea. It's just brought up so many questions that are unanswered at the moment. So I'm not going to try and answer them on this video, but I'm going to go through some of the questions that you may have and some of the strange things that may come to pass next season. Strange circumstances bring out strange measures. So let's go through them one by one and see what we can find out. Now, chances are that you've watched some sort of football over the last couple of weeks or so, and it's been behind closed doors. Bundesliga were the first league to come back. Since then, we've had football played in Italy, England, Spain, Portugal, and several other nations in Europe. And as much as we build it up and we wanted it to be amazing, you've probably got to admit that it's not quite there. It's difficult to watch games with no fans. Yes, they've pumped crowd noise in, and in Spain they've even got virtual supporters in the stands, but it's just not quite there when you know there's no supporters there. So what will it be like watching Celtic with no supporters? It's hard to know because we've never really done it, ever. Will it be better than England, Spain and Italy because it's a team you care about and you're emotionally invested in the game? Probably, but chances are it won't be anywhere near as good as watching Celtic normally with fans in the stadium. That's what I think. I think it'll be down the middle. It'll be better than the closed door games we've seen that don't feature Celtic, but it won't be quite as good as normal Celtic. But it's one to watch anyway. That's the first main question for next season. How is that experience going to be watching Celtic play competitive games with no fans in the stadium? Now, I mentioned automated crowd chants there, and chances are they'll be involved in Celtic games in some sort of way. Of course, the club will be broadcasting all home games to season ticket holders, so what will they do there? Will they try and bring in some sort of crowd noise? We've heard, I think, Spain and England have got in contact with FIFA and sorted it that way. The logical thing for Celtic to do would be to get in touch with PES, who we have some sort of games relationship with. Could they supply audio for our fans at home games? Who knows, would the club go down that road? But more so, what about the away games that are broadcast in Sky? Will Sky, who have obviously done it with the English League, will they do the same in Scotland, and what will that be like? We know that Sky can often show a disregard for the Scottish game while they put all their effort into the stuff down south, so will there be mistakes? We've seen their mistakes in Sky Sports News in the past, so chances are that you'll be hearing Hearts, glorious Hearts the next time Celtic visit Easter Road. It's one to watch, but Sky do have history of getting things wrong in Scotland, so don't be surprised if things go badly awry here. Now, perhaps the most alarming image or thought is that Celtic might not even do a huddle before the match. Now, abroad in the last couple of weeks and months, we've seen socially distanced minutes of silence, we've seen celebrations that have been socially distanced, and we even saw a trophy lift that was done socially distanced with players with their wee spots marked out with Red Bull Salzburg, I think, who won the Austrian Cup. So that kind of tells you that despite players being tested all the time, it will still be in place for Celtic, certainly until they find a vaccine. Socially distancing will be around. So will we see the huddle before matches? I don't know. I think it was Bournemouth or Aston Villa in the first English game who all did a huddle round, but they weren't all linking arms. So could we see something like that with Celtic? Or will given that it's such a big part of our history and our pre-match makeup, well, players like Scott Brown insist that we do it because, remember, the players are being tested all the time. That's one interesting thing to watch. I think it gives the players an advantage before the games, and certainly not doing a huddle may make things feel unnatural and unfamiliar for our players. So that is one to watch, but just the thought of Celtic not even doing a huddle before a match is an alarming one that maybe a few of you haven't even considered. Now, other than the likes of Odsonne Edouard and Ryan Christie, arguably a player of the season over the last couple of years has been Dubai, because we've gone there the last couple of Januaries when we've just come off the back of bruising derby defeats to Rangers. Our title hopes have been called into question, even more so this year. We've gone to Dubai, come back and gone on long unbeaten runs, which have helped us to win the league title. So with travel restrictions and all the stuff that's going on at the moment, will a trip to Dubai be on next January? Will there even be a winter break next January? And how will that affect our potential title bid? That's one to watch. But even, furthermore to that, we've got pre-season this year. What's going to happen with that? Are we going to have trips to the likes of Austria, like we've done in previous years, still happening? And how will that affect Neil Lennon and his players? We know that footballers are creatures of habit, and if our team aren't getting to embark on their normal trips in both the summer and the winter, how will that affect things? I suppose the one positive is that every team will be in the same boat. Now, it's been said before that Celtic aren't immune to the financial difficulties that are going around everywhere at the moment, and that is of course true, but what people don't realise is that we're actually probably in a more precarious position than most clubs. Quite simply, we've got the largest outlays, so we're losing the most money per month. We've already seen the measures the club's taken with wage deferrals that I spoke about a couple of weeks ago on the channel. We've also had Johnny Hayes and Jozo Simunovic moved on. Two players who played a little under Neil Lennon last year and would probably have been kept on with new contracts in a normal situation. So does that mean that Celtic will have to sell players this summer to make up the money? But even more so, will we spend money in the transfer window? You've kind of had it as a given that we would bring in players and spend money, the likes of Fraser Forster mentioned. We obviously need a centre-back as well. But will the club spend any money at all, or will they look at loans, given how precarious a financial situation we are in? Yes, we do have money in the bank, but we're bleeding money badly at the moment, quite simply because there's no income and we're not playing games and we're not getting fans through the gates. So one to watch, but don't be surprised if the club rely heavily on loans this season. That isn't ideal given that it's such a historic campaign for us and we have to start strongly and we need players that are committed for the 10 in a row cause, but maybe the situation just means that that's what we'll have to do. So could we have all 4 league derbies against our rivals played in the second half of next season, aka in 2021? Well, that's what Neil Lennon thinks would be a good idea, as he spoke a couple of weeks ago, citing the reason that fans and broadcasters Sky Sports would be in favour of it. And it's hard to disagree with that at all, and you can also see where Neil Lennon's coming from in terms of defending the club. It doesn't seem fair that we would play our first derby probably in September or even October against Rangers with no fans in the stadium at all, and then perhaps by the time we next go to Ibrox in December they would have fans, because maybe fans would be allowed back in at that stage, even if it was just a percentage. That doesn't seem fair at all, and it's a strange situation we're in, but I think fairness and sporting integrity has to be at the forefront of the league governing body's mind at all times, because it is such a big season. But how would 4 derbies in the space of 4 or 5 months define such a big season? Well, it would be massive. We can all remember season 2011-2012 when we had no fewer than 7 Glasgow derbies, and each one was more volatile than the last. The tension and the furore, and they were more fractured as they went on, and we'd see a similar thing, if not even greater, next year because of what's at stake with the league title. If you add in that we could be meeting in cups as well, you could end up with like 6 Glasgow derbies in 5 months, which just seems a bit crazy. So what's going to happen with that? The SPFL will have to take all of that into account, but it's another one to watch. It could be another interesting narrative in what's going to be a crazy, crazy season. Now, the chat is that the Scottish Cup from last season now will be played next season. Rod Petrie, I think, was quoted as saying that it's too important money-wise for the SFA. Of course, we play Aberdeen in one semi-final, Hibs Hearts in the other semi-final, and then the final. So that's 3 sellouts at Hampden. Now, I know that the stadium wouldn't necessarily be full due to what's going on at the moment. But even if they could get a percentage of Hampden full for the game, say 20%, it's still a good bit of money for the SFA that they've basically got a free hit at. So expect those games still to be played, but when they are played, and say we were to win the Scottish Cup, would that be counted as our part of our trophy haul for next season, aka going for a potential quadruple, or would it be last season? Say Odsonne Edouard scores in the semi-final and the final, would those goals be counted as part of his tally for season 2020-2021 or for last season 2019-2020? Just another crazy example of what's going to happen next season in the current situation we find ourselves in. Many would look at it as next season, but then again, we've played 3 of the matches to hopefully win the tournament last season. So yes, crazy situation. And at the end of the day, it's not the most important thing we've spoken about in this video, but it is just yet another example of the craziness of what's going on.